You've got Europe, where I said it's probably going to start there. With the multiple issues and everything happening, you look at the energy side of things, which is still going on. It's getting worse. So much so that they're actually talking about burning garbage and burning horse manure to try and heat their homes for this winter. I mean, you can't find wood stoves anywhere. The wood stoves are sold out. And even if you could, good luck trying to find any wood. People are actually starting to steal each other's wood. They're going around and hijacking pellets and firewood and whatnot. So we've got the thieving, the looting is already happening for people to try and heat their homes for this winter because it's getting bad. You look at the economic side of what is going on with the energy stuff, and you've got European companies basically are collapsing at 2009 levels. In the second quarter of this year, we've got 5,600 insolvencies in just England and Wales. That's, 5,600 companies just in the second quarter in England alone. That's not counting everywhere else that's going on. I mean, you look at what's happening in Germany, where it's 15,000 German businesses are starting to face bankruptcy. So that's going to start coming into it. You're looking at production, you're looking at jobs, you're looking at all this stuff. And all this is because of the energy bills. They just can't pay their energy bills because of how expensive it is. The other aspect is the loss of life. What's going to happen? We know when it gets cold, people can't heat. They can die from that. They can die from disease. They can die from hunger because there's no food or anything going on. But the other aspect is UK citizens that are on life support machines. They're now starting to panic because of just the power cuts. So if the power goes out and they rely on a life support machine, it's gone. So before, things get really, really bad, you're looking at people starting to die because they can't keep these machines going. So that's another aspect that I don't think people realize what's going on. I didn't until I started seeing some of this stuff coming out. I mean, to them, that's their everyday, again, life support. But for us who don't have any machines like that, who don't need it, we don't think in that way. So that's also going to be an aspect that's coming in. Then you take a look at what's going on with France. I've kind of been updating things on Telegram as far as what's going on with France, but you've got the France refinery strikes that have been going on for a while now. It's starting to get to the point where things might start turning violent. You've got the energy ministry in France that are coming out basically publicly saying they're going to force the refinery workers to get back to work. And not a couple hours after that, the spokesman for the workers out there basically said, you can try, but if you do, prepare for uprisings. So that tells me that it's probably going to start getting violent if they attempt to try and start forcing people, in which I just don't see how you can do that. It's getting bad because right now you've got like over 30% of France who their gas stations, their fuel stations, they're basically out of some type of fuel, if not completely out. There's videos and pictures coming out of these car lines that are going for miles to try and fill their cars. France just installed gas rationing, where depending on what type of car you have, you can only fill up a certain amount. So France is now starting to do gas rationing. I mean, you're talking about like what, 1970s in the US when there was gas rationing where you could only fill up your car like on odd or even days compared with what your license plate said and stuff. We're getting to the point. I mean, that's what happened in Sri Lanka and whatnot, and look at what started happening there. So you've got threats of violence by the strike, the workers on strike, and then you've got gas rationing going on top of it. There's now videos and pictures going out where people are starting to get into fights and assault each other who are waiting in line to get gas. I've actually seen videos of cop cars. They're having to push their cop cars to the gas station because they ran out of fuel to try and get there. This is when society starts breaking down. This is the stuff that we've been talking about for months and months. Is you start taking away these things, people start getting agitated and they start turning on each other, especially since now you've got cops that can't respond to anything, which if you've been following anything in Europe anyways, the cops are more interested in supporting the climate people. They're more interested in supporting the alphabet rallies and stuff that they're doing, and they're just letting, kind of like what's going on in New York, they're just letting violence happen, they're letting crime happen, they don't care. They're more interested in arresting people who have committed thought crimes. You thought in a bad way. I mean, that's 1980, was it 1984? Is it 1984? Just slipped my mind. I think that's the book. But this is when society starts collapsing. It starts getting bad. The other aspect of when this stuff happens is getting food to the stores so people can buy it. And I know a lot of people are thinking, okay, well, we're having fertilizer problems, we're having food production problems, we're having all this stuff happening. What else could possibly be going on? Well, now there's a shortage of AdBlue in Europe that could crush the trucking industry. Now, if you don't know what AdBlue is a liquid that they put in the cars to reduce the carbon emissions of the cars. This was introduced in 2015, I believe. And so it's part of their green agenda, it's part of their climate thing. It's the ESG carbon emission legislation and whatnot. Is your car has to have AdBlue in there for it to run. And so, because of the skyrocketing energy prices that are impacting production and manufacturers in the area, the production of AdBlue is starting to collapse. Now, several months ago, I brought up a German chemical giant, BASF, B-A-S-F. They are the biggest in all of Europe that produces the chemical stuff. Your fertilizers, stuff that goes into medicine, stuff that goes into sodas, all the ammonia, and everything like that. Well, they're also the leading producer of AdBlue. Now, if you've got the legislation, the ESG legislation, climate agenda stuff, where you're not allowed to run cars without AdBlue, but now you've got a shortage of AdBlue, your trucks cannot run in Europe, all because of the climate agenda that they're doing. So if your trucks aren't moving, that means your food is not moving, which means your stores will be empty, which means people cannot eat. So, fertilizer problems, food production problems, gas problems, and now AdBlue problems are all leading the charge for famine in Europe. All in the name of climate change. I mean, this is the same stuff that we've seen in Canada with their fertilizer ban, which followed along the lines of what Netherlands started with their fertilizer ban. You take a look at what Ireland is doing. They're starting to adopt the fertilizer ban. So everybody's focusing on the fertilizer stuff, but you've got to take a look at what's happening with the AdBlue. I mean, something like that. People don't pay attention to that. People don't know about that. I didn't know about it. And people don't know about the stuff that's going to have a massive effect on getting food to the stores. So even if there is gas, even if there is diesel for these trucks to run, if there's no AdBlue, it doesn't matter. And you know for a fact that Europe is not going to change their policies to allow these trucks to run without the AdBlue. You know that's not going to happen. I mean, that's the whole point of this, is to use ESG and carbon and green agenda and climate and all that stuff to push through all the things that they're pushing through. So you know that that's not going to happen.